Hello there. Bambergy here with another gate transit report. And today, April the 4th, at 11:05 GMT, the sun is transiting into gate 51. Gate 51 is called the Gate of Arousing. Actually, it has quite a few names. Gate of Arousing, the Gate of Shock, it's very often called, the Gate of Being First, that's another one, the Gate of Individual Initiative, and also the Gate of Wounding. Let's share my screen and show you what I have for you today. Oh, not that one. Let's start with that one. Okay, Gate 51. We find Gate 51 in the heart center, also called the ego center. It is in circuitry that is called centering circuitry, which is part of individuality. The heart center is generally associated with ego circuitry. Gate 51 is the only gate out of the heart center that is not actually part of ego circuitry. This is a gate that actually it's activated twice for us at the moment because we have it here in the sun, and it's also in the north node. So what are you experiencing in your environment? Are you aware of maybe a bit more shock? Are you aware of being initiated into something new? Or are you seeing those energies around you? Sometimes if you have a gate consistently, it's activated in your design, you're not so aware of the energies because they're just part of you. They are a consistent part of your experience. So this can often be an opportunity for those who don't have this consistently activated to tap into it. And you might hear some teachers say that we all have all of the chart. That we might have our birth chart, what we're born with, what the activations of the day were. But we also have all of that openness. And where we have that openness is where we can be conditioned and where we can be imprinted, not permanently though, by the transit or by the neutrino field or by people in our environment. So these are sort of where we go to school, you could say. So often when a transit comes in, if it's something you don't have, generally speaking, you can really feel it a lot more. There can be a very competitive quality to this gate. It's part of a channel called initiation, and it has the design of needing to be first. And that language is quite important. It's not that this gate wants to be first, it needs to be first. It's part of its genetic makeup, part of its mechanic. It embodies the power to compete. And that can be quite uncomfortable for some people, especially if they have an open ego, to come up against somebody who can be quite competitive. It can, of course, amplify in the nature of openness. We amplify, absorb, amplify, and throw it back out again. So watch yourself if you've got an open ego around this kind of time. What are you amplifying? What are you absorbing and pushing out? It's just about awareness. It's not about being wrong or right or beating yourself up for any of this. It's really just bringing the light of awareness to it. But you might find somebody who has this energy, or even all of us while it's transiting here, that when you're walking down the street with someone who has this consistently in their design, maybe they're always one step ahead of you. That could be seen as they're actually walking ahead to see if the way is clear, to see if the way is safe, to see what risks there are around, as well as being the one to go where nobody else has gone, even just that first step forward. They're the first to do that. So there is a competitiveness with that, but it's also it's not competitiveness in the way that we often think of egoic competitiveness. They need to do it for themselves. They're not necessarily in competition with the world. Very often they're just in competition with themselves. They have this need to initiate a way forward. When you don't know what the mechanics of a gate are, then you can well imagine that this ego energy here can be really tiresome to be around. It's another one of those gates which we're just coming out of the 21, and this has the same sort of thing where education is so, so important, especially for children. The power in this gate could lead to courage on one hand and folly on the other hand. And it's always shocking. And while if you have this gate in your design, you are designed, you can withstand shock, so to say, and you are here to shock others. But knowing that, it can give you a little bit of a different way to approach it and to embody it. This is the heart center, of course, and this is a gate that has a biological resonance to the actual heart muscle itself. So it's really important when you're talking about shock in terms of the heart, that the heart is taken care of in this process, because our hearts are really quite vulnerable, And so having awareness around the power of this center and this gate can be very beneficial. And how do we take care of our hearts? In human design terms, of course, it's going to be about strategy and authority, living up to our type, waiting for our invitations or to respond to something or to inform someone. These are the sorts of things that then make sure that we are using our energy correctly, that if we're going to shock someone, that it's done correctly, and that then the resistance and the kickback isn't there in quite the same way. And then just share again. Okay. So you may remember the hexagrams are the I Ching, in the I Ching, what we call gates in human design. And they're always made up of two trigrams. There's an upper and a lower trigram. So let me show you on here, this one. Okay. So we have 3 lines at the top and 3 lines there at the bottom. These are the two trigrams. Now the Chinese called the trigrams after energies that are found in nature. Okay, and then they combine them together to give the flavor of the hexagram. So here, what we see, we have something called thunder over thunder. So the bottom line is yang, and then yin yin, and yang, yin yin. So this is thunder over thunder. And this is giving us the qualities associated with this gate of shock, which is also called arousing. You can really feel the quality of double thunder coming through the arousing. The channel of initiation that I mentioned a little while ago, this is part of what's called the mystical way, mystical circuitry. And it has the potential within it to leap into the void. It's an act of bravery to leap into the void. And this is a gate that is often associated with cowardice or bravery. Having the gate of shock as your lead energy, you might need the superpower of bravery in order to withstand that. Now, Venus is currently transiting gate 25, which is that harmonic. It's in opposite there in the channel, which is how we get that whole channel. So we're all experiencing this channel of initiation for a little while. Maybe we're being initiated into something new. Maybe we're being shocked to jump into a void. Maybe there is something there waiting for us. It's time for a change. Individuality is a mutative circuit. We know it's a circuit where great change can come through. And a great shock can be deeply mutative. It can shift you out of a rut. It can turn your world upside down and take you in a new direction. Or perhaps taking you into personal transcendence and self-love. Because this is the path of the mystical way, and these are the qualities associated with that. And gate 25 is a very important gate on that path. All of the gates, of course, have value on that path. But here we're really moving out of the material into the spiritual. And that's an initiation. Ra, who you might know brought human design into the world through a deeply shocking encounter, he had gate 51 as his personality sun. He was built to withstand that shock. Now, I mentioned one of the other names for this gate is called the Gate of Wounding. A powerful shock can cause damage. It can wound itself and it can wound others. And being shocked by others or by a life event too. This is also part of the energy here, and that can also be shocking and it can be wounding. This is also the gate of the warrior. And the warrior can be brave, the warrior could be a fool, the warrior could have times of being quite cowardly. It's always the or not that we consider when we use all of these keynotes. And it's also the feeling that nothing is absolute here, because you could be a warrior who is very brave some of the time, but not all of the time. So there's no pressure here to be one thing consistently. It's always, it's a living design, it's a living system. And so we have to breathe through it, and our breath is never the same in any moment. So it's keeping some gentleness around this. You know, we don't force ourselves into a box of I've got 51, therefore I must be a brave warrior, because, you know, okay, but what is your authority telling you? What is your strategy here? What is your type? So share the screen again. Lots of sharing and unsharing today. It's a sharing kind of day today. So what I wanted to show you is gate 57 here. This is the grounding to gate 51. This is the earth to the sun here. So just as we have a double activation in the 51 with the sun and the north node, here we have the earth and the south node. It's another double activation. So this is the gate of intuitive insight coming out of the splenic center there. Insight is situated there in the spleen because it's all about our survival. It's in the moment. This you need to know in the moment to keep you safe kind of energy. It's a really, it's also quiet. It doesn't repeat itself. You know what you know and it's gone. You pay attention to it or you've lost it. It's that sort of instinctual goosebumps sort of kind of feeling here. So shock is grounded in the extraordinary power of clarity. This is the intuitive insight that has the possibility to penetrate to the core of the now. It has a fear of tomorrow, because all of the splenic gates have a fear. So this fear here about the fear of tomorrow is the potential of being, I don't know, eliminated as a species, I suppose one could put it that way. The fear, what is tomorrow going to bring us? We don't know. Are we safe in this moment? But if you have the possibility to penetrate to that amazing insight that is possible in the now, there is also the potential to eliminate the fear by listening to those instincts in the now. So gate 57, like its polarity, it's opposite in the wheel, it's individual in nature, and in common with gate 51, it is made up of the same two trigrams, and you can just about see them in the little picture here. So it's a yin, yang, yang, yin, yang, yang. So it's the same thing over this. And here what we've got, instead of thunder over thunder, we have wind over wind. And the I Ching call this gate the gentle. And it's a gentle breeze that you sit out in, and then the next day you have the most appalling neck ache because you didn't notice the power that was in that wind to chill you. So it's a really powerful gate with a name like the gentle. So also you've got thunder over thunder, wind over wind. I mean, these two are really working really closely together. And it's interesting to note that a gate which carries the fear of tomorrow is what is grounding the gate of leaping into the void. Oh. A couple of transits ago, we had the sun in gate 22, which was the gate of the left ear, you know, listening when it was in the mood and not when it wasn't, and hearing certain things, and yeah, all of that kind of thing. So here we have the gate of the right ear, and this is the gate that hears in the now. It pays focused attention to what it's hearing right now. The splenic center is an awareness center. You might be remembering that some of these keynotes that are coming through now. It gives its hunches. Like I said, it's quiet. It doesn't repeat itself. And it's very much in the now. A bit like that car alarm, which is very much in the now and is alerting somebody to something. Be aware of me now. So you'll have the thing that will be it's not planning for the future. It's not telling you, oh, in 10 minutes time there's a bus, it's going to come exactly where you're standing, so you might want to move. It's not that kind of energy. It's very much, I'm going to shut my window because, oh no, see, just the very threat of that turned it off. It's very much the thing that says there's a tiger, run. So it's that fight or flight instinct. It's a really powerful in the moment kind of thing. And so this is really about the awareness to stay alive. And that's really quite appropriate for grounding the gate of shock that wants to leap into the void when you think about it like that. So these are how the sun and the earth are impacting us for the next sort of 5.5 days, really. And they impact everybody on the planet. You know, this is not such a personal transit in a sense, and it is in that it affects our personal chart, and we can have a look at it in relation to everything else that we've going on in our chart. But this is something that everybody is being affected by. Now, and it adds a different layer to our experience. It doesn't overtake our experience. It doesn't give us a different sun, earth, oh, itchy eye. It just gives us a slightly different nuance to play with. So that's that. Thank you very much for watching as always, and take care, and I will see you in the next transit. Bye-bye for now.